You and me, baby. So tonight we are going to explore the use of autoresponders. How do you build your tribe? How do you develop a relationship with people who are interested in you? How do you find those people? How do you find the people who are interested in what you have to say? And then how do you establish a relationship with them and keep that relationship with them? And I'm going to explore a few ideas on becoming financially viable too, as an author, writer, blogger, whatever. That is for internet marketers. That's one of the goals. The goals is to provide a service to people and to take your passion, whatever that is, and get it out there to the world, and then be able to monetize that so that you can do that all the time. And we love being able to do things we're passionate about. It's hard to make a living at it. So this is an answer to that, or one way that you can explore some things that are possibilities for you. So the long and short of this is the whole concept of list building and email marketing. So in internet marketing, in that whole world, which is that kind of my other world that I live in, that is the mantra, like the list. Everything is in the list. And there have been, these massive figureheads in the internet marketing world who said, you can take everything away from me. You can fire me from my job. You can do everything. It was like, but if I have my list, I will build it all back again within a couple of months. And that is because you build and establish a relationship with your list. So people, and especially writers, and especially Christian writers, we get all like heebed out about referring to email lists. It's not a list. It's not a list of names. It's a list of people. And as long as you keep that in perspective, and that you are building a relationship with people, and your goal and your heart's desire is to provide something to them that God's kind of tapped you for, that there's some special way that and some special message or calling that God has laid in your lap, then the internet offers unprecedented opportunity for you to build intimate relationships with people that are highly engaged with you, and who will, in the internet marketing world, you want to have a relationship that people buy from you. Ultimately, you want to provide service, but you want people to buy from you. So I don't know what your exact goals are. I know most of us in Redbuds are trying to make it, and part of making it involves becoming financially viable, because that's just, there's only so many hours in a day, and there's a lot of bills to pay. So we're going to explore some of that. So, but the core element of one of your marketing strategies, and let me just break it to you, that you need to have a marketing strategy. You may be a Christian writer, blogger, whatever you are, author, but you need to have a marketing strategy to obtain and maintain viability. And this should be a core element of your marketing strategy. Building your list and building the again, not just the names on a list, but building that relationship with people who are engaged with you. So we're going to talk about some of the ways that you can do that. It really is not that complicated when it all boils down to it. There are technicalities in how you do this, but here's the basic formula. Step one is you create content. Like, you start doing, and if you're already doing that, keep on doing what you're doing. You keep on providing stuff. You keep on writing your passion. You keep on churning out the blog posts or churning out newsletters or whatever it is, the sermons, teaching elements, whatever it is. For me, it's teaching people elements and steps of Bible study and interpretation. Women, particularly women who, in my observation, are the most expected to serve and the least trained to serve biblically and theologically. So that's my thing that God's laid on my heart. For others, it's something else. So you keep doing stuff. Keep on doing what you're doing in that respect. And then secondly, you create something that people want, that are in your area. Like, there are people, for me, and my specialization, my niche is women's roles in the church. And so I one time created, I pulled together all the information for it, but I had somebody create for me an infographic. So I gave him all the content, and then he made it pretty. And I have an infographic, and then and if people want that, if that's something that's desirable to them, they will input their name and or email address. Sometimes you just want to start with the email address, and then you kind of build up from there. One of my trainers referred to that as like, you don't, go for a kiss on the first date. Well, most of us don't. And you just get to know a person. Hey, what's your name? So in the internet world, the name is an email address, and it may not include the first name of the person. So, you're building trust. So you in exchange for their email address, you provide them something valuable to them that they want. Another thing that I have that's a giveaway item is a strategy plan that's kind of like it is a 1-page condensation of the 5 steps of my book. Like, how do I figure out an issue that's really tough and controversial? How do I figure it out biblically and theologically? So I just put it into a bare bones form, and I have that available. And if people want that, they'll input their email address. And so then that's an opt-in, and then so that's what. So you create something that you give to people. Now, this is called in the internet marketing world, it's called the squeeze, or the squeeze page. It can be called an opt-in page. It can be called all kinds of other things. Another valuable resource that people provide is a newsletter. This is a classic thing. I know, like, tons and tons of Christian sites, publishing sites, ministry sites, they say, sign up for our e-newsletter. That is an exchange. They're offering something of value that it's going to add value to people's lives, and doing it in exchange for the email, so that then that church or ministry or whoever it is can then stay in contact with them. So what that exchange means is that internet user is interested in that content. And when you use some of the stuff that I'm going to talk with you about tonight, the email services, they have an opportunity every time they ever receive anything from you or the organization, whoever it is, to unsubscribe. So everybody on the internet now is familiar with the unsubscribe button, because I unsubscribe 2 or 3 things every day. Because I'm subscribing like a billion things all the time, because I'm reading stuff and then I'm like, man, I don't really want this. So I unsubscribe. And that's fine. That's part of the relationship. But one of the things you want to do is continue to provide resources and helpful stuff that's going to value add to their lives, so that they stay with you. Okay, so we've got that you are, in our list building, we create something to give, and we receive their email address. So at that point, then you need some way to stay in touch with them. Now, you can use something like Gmail for this, but not very easily. Believe me, I tried. I looked at every free way to try to maintain contact, and it's not set up for that. That's not what it's for. free email. Like they have one autoresponder, and that's like vacation week auto-response. That's their autoresponder, but it's not an auto-response system. So what I'm going to show you tonight are some email auto-response systems and some ways in how to use that. So we have our giveaway, or freebie, as it's often called. We have the opt-in, and the opt-in occurs through that squeeze page where you're offering them this freebie in exchange for their email, and then you start your content flow. Now here's where these things come into time. Now this is where I'm going to kind of flash back and forth between me and some stuff on my computer screen, so you can see some of the different auto response systems. I'm going to start with mine because that's the one I'm most familiar with. But I will say it is, I didn't know it at the time, but it's like the Cadillac. All I knew is it was butt expensive. That's all I knew. And I was like, well, I don't know any better, and this is what I need. I know I really need this. So I signed up. And so while it's probably not for most, unless a Redbud is already quite well established, this might be something that and is kind of making it financially. This will exponentially help them take their ministry to the next level. So that is that's where I am. I'm trying to get things to the next level. But let me turn this on. Screen share. Figure out which one. Here we go. Okay. Start screen share. All right. Let me just make sure you're not trying to say something to me. Nope. Okay. All right. So this is this is not just an email autoresponder. This is a complete business system integration system. That was redundant. That's all right. You still love me. And it's called Infusionsoft, and it's one of the best ones out there, as I came to learn. But let me show you an example of something, and I like the way they lay this out. For me, it was very intuitive. After I had already started with Infusionsoft, I went and I tried a couple other autoresponders, and to me, they weren't as intuitive. But for somebody who doesn't start with this, the other ones are probably just fine. And I'm going to point you to two that have great training. But let me show you, because I think this lays it out really intuitively. Let's take the example of the thing I just launched this week, Your Biblical Breakthrough. So this is a whole online thing, online training in best practices in Bible study and interpretation for women. And it's in its initial stages, it's free, and then the first 48 hours it's free. The last 7 to 8 days it's $12. So not much. I keep my price threshold low, and because I want people to do it. But let's just use this as an example. So here we go. Let me find my exact campaign. In Infusionsoft, you create a campaign. And I want to show you where are you? YBB, live recording. That's not the one I want. Oh, event registration and follow-up. Okay, so down here, YBB 2015 event registration and follow-up. Can you see that? Okay, and so I'm going to click on that. And so here we go. All right, if you look over here on this side, these don't mean anything in terms of the actual campaign, but they're just symbols that show your brain where your sources are coming from. So on my website, I have a form. Now here is my form. I create the form in Infusionsoft, and all the advanced, like all of the email marketing systems that I'm familiar with have forms that you can create. It's fantastic. They usually drag and drop, and then you just either embed the code in your on your website or in your newsletter or whatever it is, and then people click on that and it takes them to this form, or you create a button in whatever you're doing, and that button takes people to the form, and then they sign up for whatever it is. So here is I'll just show you my form. It's kind of an extensive form. So it had all the information, register now, blah, 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 has my logo on there. And then this is pretty extensive. Normally it's just, hey, sign up for blah, enter your name and email. This is the core part of the form right here. First name and email. And then you can, in most of the autoresponder services, you can add or not add a CAPTCHA. I like that because I otherwise get a lot of spam. And then here's my button. They click the button and boom. Then they are entered into my contact list, and they have effectively given me permission to market to them about this thing. I create, let me show you this, and this is true for most of the autoresponders. They opt in to a certain list. So they're not just going to get like all your emails that you send out willy-nilly. You segment your list so that they get that which they're interested in from you. And so then if you go to the next thing, this is an email, this is a sequence. And in Infusionsoft, this is how it works. I tag them, and all the autoresponders have tags or segmenters. And in mine, Infusionsoft, everything works on tags. When they opt in, then I tag them. I tag them with a registered for an event in general. I tag them for this business list. This is the Verity Initiative. That's my overarching ministry business, because I have a music business too. And so if it's a music thing, they get tagged for that. And then I tag them for this particular event and that they've registered, and that then they have entered into the sequence, and they go along. And then you can see here I had this run at a certain day and a certain time, but you can create, if you look over here on the right side, they have delay timers and this kind of thing. And the same is true for other autoresponder services. It's just laid out differently. So then I create an email that's going to go out at that certain time, that certain day, and I write it up all in advance. Got the logo in there. Thanks for signing up. Blah blah blah. See you soon. And then here's a reminder, just like, when you signed up for the Webinar Fusion Pro thing for this, you entered into an autoresponder. You then got a reminder email and another reminder, hey, we're about to start. We're starting right now. Get on. So those are the same things. Now, in this particular, in Infusionsoft, I can create the entire event inside Infusionsoft. This is my actual telesummit sequence. So when women or men, when an attendee subscribes, then they get tagged, and then they continue through the sequence unless they opt out using the unsubscribe button. And so I give them a 15-minute warning, and then 15 minutes later, this says wait at least 15 minutes, 15 minutes later, they get the first session. And I'll show you that email real quick. So I get the first session, and I did these all in a different color, so they look all pretty, blah, blah, blah. And this gives them the link to my website that has the presentation page. So I can create the entire telesummit in here. It could even, I don't have this service with Infusionsoft, but they could even be the payment gateway if I wanted to. I have that stuff on my website. So that keeps them running through this whole sequence, and then they go into the next sequence. And this is to say, hey, watch the videos. Hey, you only have such and such more time to do this. And so then after that, then they'll be tagged to go to the e-newsletter that I provide. So that is an example of that. Let me show you my contact list. So in the case of Infusionsoft and with all these, see the CRM up here? That's because it's just the term for it is contact relationship management. So at every point, like these marketing companies are encouraging small business owners, remember, these are people. This is a contact relationship that you are managing. So, you know, it's not just whatever. They're not just disembodied heads out there floating around in the universe. Okay, so so this is my contact list, and so let's take one of these for example. When I mouse over Adrian, for example, I can see all of the interactions that I've had with Adrian, but probably one of the most important things that I look at most frequently is the tags that are applied to this person. So, and I can see whatever forms they filled out to get into my to get onto my list. I can see what campaigns they've moved through, and they don't have any recent campaigns. And what emails that were sent to them. And look, this person never opens anything. Boo hiss. But now that is very interesting for you too. As you go along, you want to actually keep your list what's called clean. So you want people who are opening your lists, and you can actually, with all the autoresponder services, you can do searches to see who is not ever opening anything, and you can basically unsubscribe them. So because that helps your opt-in rate. That helps things like it makes the email. What am I thinking of? The mailbox accounts, like Gmail and Yahoo and stuff. You actually, when you are an email person, like, and you are maintaining a relationship, you have a contact relationship management database. That actually, that information flows through these companies, Gmail and Yahoo and such. And the more unopened emails you have, like, that can kind of reflect on you. So yeah, if the person never ever opening it, you can actually send them into a specific campaign for people who are not opening their emails and say, hey, you know, I thought we had a relationship here, you know. So, but so far it's just one way, and you know, you're never returning my calls, basically. So, you know, I'm gonna give you a couple of chances, and you're out if you don't get on board. So, you know, that's kind of the idea. But that is one of them. Let me show you, because that's Infusionsoft. Let me just check to make sure. Oh yeah, yeah. Let me go back here to me and first ask if you have any questions about that so far. No questions. Okay. Let me stop this for just a second and show you my beautiful self. So far we've talked about the whole idea of building a list of people's names and email addresses, having an opt-in. You offer them something of value and they opt in. Using a squeeze page to do that, also called an opt-in page or whatever. And then building some type of campaign, and we're going to look at two other services, and I don't think one of them calls them campaigns. I think the other one does, but that's basically kind of, you create these little campaigns, and you create these sequences. And we're going to talk in a few minutes about, okay, well, how do I write an email sequence? Like, what's that all about? For the moment, I'm going to take you now to show you these two other places. Let me put my, where'd it go? There it is. Okay, so let's go to another one. This is Aweber, which is kind of an internet marketing industry standard. It's great. It's pretty not super expensive, and they have different size accounts. For, most Redbuds will probably be standard pricing. Most of them have free trials for 30 days, and you can try it out. So, $19 a month for up to 500 subscribers and unlimited emails. That's pretty decent in this arena. And then it goes up from there, and you can see that they've got these different delineations. And one thing that's nice about most of these services is, let's see, access to our email experts who are here. Yeah, this is a pretty easy to use service. And see here, sign up forms. Okay, so that's basically the squeeze. It's not just, it's a form creator. And theirs is pretty good. I've seen theirs, and they use, it's a pretty intuitive drag and drop interface. And they use list cleaning stuff to keep, see this word right here, deliverability. So they want to keep, they have a really good reputation. Both of these other companies have a really good reputation for deliverability. And some companies do not. Michelle, hey Natalie, can you mention how much is the Infusionsoft per month per year? What are your thoughts on Mailtrip and Tiny Letter? Okay. Hi, Michelle. Welcome. Michelle, by the way, there's, and I sent you at some point an invitation to sign in to the Hangout if you want to do that. If you don't, it's fine. You can just be here as an attendee and send me chats. But it would probably have come, if you have a Gmail account, it probably would have come to there, whatever you're on Google Plus under. So Infusionsoft is not cheap. Let me take you to that. And that's because, I don't know if you heard this, Michelle, but it's quite the Rolls Royce of email marketing and such, because it's a complete business system. Let me see if I can get this up here. The product pricing. So yeah, you can see here their bottom line account is $199, and then they go up from there. So it can be pricey even at this if you're not monetizing. So the key thing is, like, this is really for people who that's their goal, is to become financially viable, and you want to do it in a really kick-ass way. Like, this is an amazing tool. I don't pay $200 a month because I was such a disaster for the first 2 years. I just kept paying all this money and having no results. And so they eventually felt really sorry for me and dropped me down to the absolute lowest price and gave me so much extra training because I was so pathetic. So thankfully, I'm a little bit past that now. So, but that's the truth. And but let's take a look at something else. This is GetResponse. GetResponse started about 1.5 years ago. Well, it might have started sooner than that, but that's when it really busted out onto the scene. And a lot of people went from Infusionsoft and Aweber to GetResponse. And I really could see why. I actually have a dormant account with GetResponse, and because I started one, and then I was like, then when they dropped my price so low to Infusionsoft, I was like, well, I'm already so invested and I know how to use this and I don't know how to use the other one very well. So let's stick with what we've got. So, but this, again, you can see, try it for free for 30 days. I really suggest you try that. This one I found to be very intuitive. They have a whole email creator. It's drag and drop. They have the autoresponders, and they do it with like a couple of different layouts. I remember there being a calendar layout, which for me made tons of sense. You can create landing pages. Landing pages is another word for the squeeze page or the opt-in page. They also have something really great. They have, let me see, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, they have, you can look at these later. We don't have time to look at all these, but this, okay, let me see if they tell you what this is. Learning Center, okay, great Learning Center. And they even had, when I was actively doing this, they had a day-by-day training program that was free. You could do either 90 days or 120 days or something to that effect. And or maybe, I don't remember what exactly it was, but it was fantastic. But again, I was just like, I need to focus in one place. And so I just stopped doing that and went back to Infusionsoft because I was just getting myself all confused. But I would, this was good. I recommend, I'm actually an affiliate for GetResponse. So if you do try it out, I want you to do it through my affiliate link. But so you can see here, this is a great, pretty affordable, very affordable in the scheme of things, entry-level account. So there is, I want to say there's a limit to the number of, no, okay, good. I think they changed that. Unlimited emailing, so that's great. You definitely want to check into that, just so you can just send whatever you want because you really want to stay in contact with people. All right, so now, okay, Michelle, I don't have much experience with MailChimp, but I know a lot of people use it. I haven't looked at it in a million years. But we can take a quick look at it, and just because of my knowledge of the other ones, I can tell you. Okay, so basically, we're talking very similar. So let's just try to do an apples to apples. Let's see, 1,000 subscribers, starting up, learn more. Oh yeah, so free forever. So, and you can send up to 12,000 emails per month. So that's not, if you really get into this, it's pretty easy to get up to that number, but probably for most of us, that's a pretty decent thing. So they have sign-up forms. Again, there's your squeeze page, or you can take the code for it and have it be in a little discrete little box on a side panel column of your web page, or stick it on your newsletter or whatever it is. And they've got drag and drop email designer. So there's a lot of good resources here, more features for as little as $10 a month. So I'll automate. See, this is the thing, the automation. That's like, there aren't any services that provide the automation part for free. So that's what you're going to pay a little money for. But let me tell you, we're going to talk about this, why that's so handy, okay, in just a minute. So we've looked at the, you can do your own exploration of TinyLetter now, having seen a couple of other ones, and you can determine for yourself whether you think that's a good fit or not. So let me go back to me. Maybe, here we go. And okay, I'm back. So a few things for you to consider. Here's the beauty of one of these services as opposed to something like Gmail or Yahoo or one of the free services. And even, I mean, the MailChimp, and I would suspect TinyLetter, I don't know about that. The other ones, Vertical Response is one. can't think of any others off the top of my head, but all those ones. Oh, constant comment, constant contact. Constant comment's the name of a tea. But those, they oftentimes they'll have some type of super low price or free, like MailChimp had, but it's the automation part that is so beautiful. So let me describe to you why automation is so awesome. So let's say you have people opting in. One strategy is to reply to every person who opts in and says, "Hey, I'm so glad you got that." For me, in my case, remember that infographic I talked about earlier. Thanks for getting the infographic. I really hope you like it. Let me know what you think. Okay, leave a thing on my website. Leave a comment on the website, or send me an email, or whatever it is. However you want them to stay in touch with you. You can do that manually for every person who opts in, because remember, this is a relationship. People who opt into your list, they want to hear from you. Those who don't are going to unsubscribe almost immediately, or they'll never hear from you again or want to hear from you again. But your goal is to build your tribe, build your relationship with them. So you want them to stick around. You want a relationship. And so you can manually reply to every person, or you can use an autoresponder. And that is what the beauty of these things are. So in an autoresponder, and actually I recommend that initially you do reply. People will actually be surprised. Really, they'll be surprised that they hear back from you. You're like, "I'm actually live. I'm writing you. Hey, thanks." Whatever. And what do you want to hear about? And you can ask them, what do you want to hear about? What in my little niche, like, what do you want from me, basically? And inviting them further into this relationship with you. And so you can do that. And then as you respond and you keep track of these emails, then you would add them into an auto-response sequence, because as your list grows, and hopefully it will, that's the goal, your list grows, you're going to want some automation, because you're not going to be able to keep up with it. At least hopefully you won't. So you should always stay in touch, and you should always be communicating, but you probably won't be able to manually respond to everything. That's why you outgrow Gmail and Yahoo and whatnot so quickly. So you create an auto response sequence in whatever your chosen autoresponder is. And the first one might say, "Hey, thanks for getting that thing. What'd you think? Leave me a comment." Link, and you put a link there to your comment page or on your website, or reply to this email, whatever it is. Or here's a survey that I made with, what's that thing, Survey Monkey or whoever. And hey, here's another thing I thought you might like. 2 days later, you can send them another one in the same sequence. "Hey, here's another resource I thought might be helpful to you because you were interested in blah." And that's how it works. That's how people stay in relationship with you. Here's a quote from my book. Hey, here's a little flash preview of what's coming out this year. Here's a snippet of the Bible study I'm writing. Here's a meme I thought was awesome that had to do with, for me, like women in leadership, but whatever it is. And just sending those out and staying in contact with things that add value to their lives. And you can add those things in. If they're not time limited, they can go right into the auto response sequence, especially if you get people emailing you saying, "Hey, I'd like to hear about this." Like in my case, people want to hear about what's headship all about, what's submission, blah, blah, blah. So, a little blurb on this is what this argument's all about, or whatever it is. So those kinds of things can go out. So how do you write this sequence? Well, you start by, like I said, replying to emails, asking people, what do you want to hear about? Eventually you put in the autoresponder. You can automate the whole process. What do you want to hear about? here's the survey, fill it out, those come to you, you keep providing them with what they want to hear, what they want to learn, and they keep coming back to you, and that is your relationship. And Michelle, you missed this, I think, at the beginning, but ultimately, and it's up to you whether you want to do this, but becoming financially viable as an author, writer, blogger, then you ultimately want to monetize this somehow. You begin to promote conferences of which you're an affiliate that has to do with your specialty. You promote books for which you have an Amazon link. I mean, that's not a super lucrative thing to do, but hey, it's something to do. You point people, you create resource pages on your website that have to do with your niche, your topic, and you create a whole bunch of Amazon affiliate links, and you can monetize that way. You start having banner ads on your page or whatever. I mean, the banner ad thing, that's a little bit down the road, but I'm just thinking, things that you can do pretty much starting now. Anybody can create a resource page for the people in their tribe and monetize that using an Amazon affiliate link. It is very easy to do. They really spell it out for you, but that would be a whole nother mentoring topic. So we've talked about building this email sequence. You could also call that, in the Infusionsoft example, building a campaign. But you're basically creating an autoresponder sequence, and you just keep adding to that. You just keep adding to it, getting feedback, responding to the feedback, get more feedback, respond to the feedback, and you can automate the whole thing. A person can, you can eventually build it up, and you can write ahead, and you sequence them ahead of time, so you don't have to wait necessarily to hear what people want to hear. Although you want to keep checking in and make sure you're still providing the value that they're looking for, but you can keep writing articles or point people to your blog or this or that and the other, just providing them with the content that they wanted from you in the first place. Another couple of ideas for buds who are trying just trying some of these things on for size is if any of you have a topic, and there's almost no topic that doesn't work for this, would be creating a monthly webinar opportunity where they have the opportunity to spend time with you for an hour, once a month. Now that can be paid or not. It could be, $4 to, for a training webinar with me for an hour. Whatever it is, I don't know. Here, $5,000 to hear me talk about women in leadership. That's probably not going to happen anytime soon, but so that's something that you can do. But you're building a relationship. When people, you just think about all the lists that you're on of the people you want to hear from. I've been an email subscriber to I can't remember the actual name of it, but it's Scott Taransky and can't remember her name, but it's basically a parenting newsletter. I've actually attended their conference, and I've bought their stuff, and I continue buying their stuff because it's good, and I read their parenting tips every single week, and because it helps me. And they, I don't know them, and they don't know who I am, but they provide me a service that I'm willing to stay on their email list for. That's what this is. And over time, that, I don't know if that's what everybody is necessarily looking for, but over time, you want a tribe. You want people to read your stuff, and eventually it's going to become bigger than just you can manage. And I don't think any of us are delusional about that. I mean, that's what, kind of we would hope. We want our message to get out, and this calling that God's laid on us to have its way. So let me think. And another ways that you can, so I've talked about building a resource page and monetizing that. I've talked about having free or paid webinars with you once a month. And there's, by the way, I can also recommend, low cost, I won't say they're cheap, but low cost webinar software that's easy to use and and affordable. So if that's something you're interested in, we could do another whole segment on that. But I want to open this up to take any questions if you need clarification on anything. And I'm going to unmute you, Sharon, lucky dog. And Michelle, I never saw you join in, but let me see what's going on here. Sharon, can you talk now?
Oh, can you hear me?
I can.
That's exciting.
You're back.
Very cool.
So I'm actually using one of the softwares that I could recommend that helps you do the stuff like the sign-in stuff and the reminder stuff. This is Google Hangouts provides this whole format, this forum, whatever it is, but they don't provide any of the autoresponder stuff or signing in for it and that kind of others. Just Hangouts was designed to be totally spontaneous.
Right.
Hangout. So did you have any questions, Sharon?
I don't think so. I've started using Aweber, but I know I'm not using it to the full extent that I can.
Yeah.
And so they have a new campaign that about teaching how to do their campaigns. So I've been getting their emails, like they've been doing one a day for the last week. And so I'm just storing them because I do want to go back and do something with it because I have a very passive, there's just a little form on my website where people just occasionally, randomly just go into it. And then I have a semi-regular newsletter. But yeah, I need to get a little bit more focused on it so that I can I don't have, as you began talking about a marketing strategy, I don't have a strategy. So I need to start wrapping my brain around that and moving forward. So this has been helpful to say, okay, this is possible and it can be done.
Yes, it can be done. And I'll say another thing too. When it comes to, creating opportunities to engage more with the people on your list, one thing that makes you even more, one thing that's really awesome is to do, one of the things we do in Buds, which is cross promotion, right? We cross promote each other's stuff. But something that's super effective in building your tribe and building your list is not only cross promotion, but it's not list sharing, but participating in events. It's called joint venturing in the internet marketing world. You joint venture, and you actually do an event together, and you exchange, like people are. It's like commingling at a conference, and then people will come and sign up for your stuff too. And people will come and sign up for your stuff. I mean, it's a beautiful thing, and that's what conferences do in person.
Right.
And so, that's one of the things that I did with Your Biblical Breakthrough, and that I'm going to do more and better, hopefully, in the February event. But is to have that joint venturing kind of activity going on, and that you become. There's two things I can say about that. One is it can help you tremendously build your list. Another thing I can say about it is it makes you more attractive as a potential joint venture partner to other people if you are actively building your list. Sure. And you are, really trying to do something about it. So, so that's just two various, thoughts that are related.
My phone's dying.
Yes.
Natalie?
Yes.
My phone is going to die here very shortly.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Hey, thank you very, very much. I appreciate this.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Sharon, and thank you, Michelle. You guys have a great night.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.